Fine. Oh no! Love it. Katie, do you want to teach first, or do you want me to teach first?
I can teach first. So I did my lesson on decomposing fractions. So we're gonna learn how to split a fraction into smaller parts, and it'll still be the equivalent to the same fraction. We're going to start off with writing on this. Imagine this is a whiteboard because I don't have one. And we want denominator in. So I'm going to write on the board the fraction 3/4. And then I'm going to draw this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we have 4 rows of 3. And to represent 3/4, we have to circle in. Oh, wait, no, this is, sorry. So we have one group of 4, and we have 3 parts of the 3 of the 4 parts. Now we want to split this fraction up into even smaller pieces while keeping what we do have the same. And so this will be done to show that when fractions are split apart, they can be added together to make the same portion that we currently have. And so underneath this, I'm going to draw 2. So we want to give some of this to one of our friends, but we want to keep the majority of it for ourselves. And so we split it up. And this is the part we keep for ourselves. So we keep 2/4 for ourselves. And we can give 1/4 to our friend. And it is the same, okay, it is equivalent to what we originally started out with, which is 3 of the 4 parts. 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. And now we've just decomposed a fraction. And so we're going to do a little art project to emphasize this even further. And this, I'm not sure if you guys printed it out, but where we cut out a little square for the we do section of it. And so I would tell you guys or tell my students just to cut this square out and try and do it as straightly as possible. And now we want to split this paper, once you've cut it out, up into 8 equal sections. And then I want you to cut the paper so that you have 4 of the 8ths of the section.
Four of the 8ths?
Yep. So you have 4/8 of the whole. Now I want you to cut along any one of these lines that you've drawn. And then write an equation showing what the 2 new rectangles that you have will represent, and what they're equal to when they're added together. And then you can share the equation with the class. right. You guys cut it out?
Mm-hmm. I'm just drawing it all.
Oh, it's fine. So what would your equation be?
For adding those two rectangles together?
Yeah.
So would it be like the 4/8 plus 4/8? Or am I
No, because it would. Uh, so like so you had 4/8,
Uh-huh.
and then you cut part of the 4/8 apart from each other. Like I had 4, and then I cut it like this.
Okay. I get it.
Because
So I have
4/8
the
is
4/8, and then I'm making my own from that.
Yeah.
So like I had 4/8 and I cut it into like 2/8 plus 2/8, but then that still equals 4/8.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So then I have 1/8 plus 3/8, and then it's 4/8.
Yeah, good job.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're gonna do an acting out activity. I was originally
Hello. Hi, sorry. Come here.
Hey. We're doing decomposing fractions.
Okay.
So you guys are gonna be like my actors for this. And I would, if I was in a classroom, I would have 3 kids come up to the classroom, and I would put 4 chocolate kisses on the table. And so I would say that the 4 kisses are the whole. And then I would give one of the kisses to Jade, and I would say, "Here you go, Jade. Jade, go sit down." And then the other, I would give the 3 other chocolate kisses to Allison, and I would say, "You have 3/4 of the whole, Allison, and you want to give a portion. You want to split up the 3/4 that you have equal with your friends and yourself." And so I would have you call up one of your friends to the front of the classroom, and I would tell you to evenly split up the 3 chocolate kisses that you have between you, and then I forgot your name.
Mine?
Yeah.
Tegan.
Tegan, and then with the friend that you called up. So how many chocolate kisses would you give everyone?
What were your numbers again?
You have 3, and so you want everyone to have an equal amount, and you have 2 times that.
Oh, so I would just give everyone 1.
Yeah. And so since we originally had 4 chocolate kisses, you would be giving everyone 1/4 of the whole. So what portion of the candy did you give to Allison?
2 1/4 of the whole.
2 1/4 of the whole.
Yeah, 1/4. 1/4.
Sorry, I might have freaked out. What were the numbers again?
So you have 3/4, and you give 1 piece to Allison. What amount of the whole did you give to Allison?
If I have 3/4 now.
So you started with 3/4, and then you gave 1 piece of candy to Allison. How many, like, what portion of the candy did you give to Allison?
1/4?
Yeah, 1/4.
Okay.
And then you gave the other piece to another friend. So I would ask Jade, like, say you gave the other piece to Jade. Jade, what portion of the fraction did Tegan give to you?
So be like 1/4, like what she gave me 1/4.
And then after, and so you both said 1/4 plus 1/4. And then I would ask the next person what portion of candy that they received, and they would say 1/4. And so all together, we return to the amount of candy that Tegan originally started out with, which is probably 14.
So 3/4.
Yeah. So we've just broken down a fraction into smaller pieces, but when the pieces are added together, we return to the original fraction. And so now we're going to do this with a popcorn style game. And I want you to tell me a fraction, and then I want the rest of you to give examples of how you would split this fraction up into small pieces. So, Jade, what's a fraction? Or like a fraction?
So just name a random fraction.
Yeah.
3. Oh, we already did that. Let's go 7/10.
7/8.
Sure.
Okay. Now, Tegan, how can you split up 7/8 to be remain 7/8, but split it up into
You'll have to repeat that one more time. Sorry.
Okay. How would you split 7/8 up into an equation so that it remains 7/8, but you have like two other fractions?
So something plus something.
So something plus something plus something.
Yeah.
You could
But
do.
it has to have the same denominator.
5/8 plus 2/8 equals 7/8.
Perfect. And then Allison, can you do the same thing?
Yeah, you could do 3/8 plus 4/8 plus 4.
Perfect.
What was the, sorry, what was the,
And then Jade, can you name a different fraction?
ugh, the connection is off.
The
What did you
connection is
say?
off. What did you say?
Oh, can you name a different fraction?
What was the total again?
What was the total again? Because you.
Oh, the total was 7/8, but just like name like a totally different fraction.
Oh, let's see here. Like 4/8 plus 2/8.
Yeah, like if you wanted to have the other fraction be 6/8, 4/8 plus 2/8 would work. And then, so for the independent practice, I would give the kids a piece of paper with a bunch of fractions on it, and then I would split them up into 5 different groups. We can't really do this because we don't have enough people and we don't have like a room to do it. But I would have each group go to a station, and then the kids would pick out a few fractions to do at each station, and there'd be 3 where they could either do the cutout thing that we did, or do like a popcorn game where they just name fractions and name like equations that go with that fraction, which we did, or like they acted out like how we did with the chocolate kisses. And then, but instead of chocolate kisses, I would just have them have paper clips at that station. And then the last station, I would have the kids, for students that didn't want to work in a group, I would give them the option just to do the worksheet on their own and just put 15 fractions on it and have the kids make equations that of an amount that are equivalent to the fraction to the 15 fractions. and then to assess how everyone understood the class lesson, I would have you write an exit ticket before going to the gym class. And so I'm just gonna have you guys write out a fraction and then an equation for it. So have two fractions that are equivalent to the fraction you write out and make sure that the denominator is the same. And then we can share it.
Cool. Was that all of it?
What?
Was that all of it?
Yeah. Well, for the exit, the checking the understanding, I would have just write out like tell me another fraction, and then like go tell me a fraction of it.
Why is it so hard to think of a fraction? 5/6.
5/6, and then what are two other fractions that would add up to 5/6?
3/6 and 2/6.
Yeah. And then Allison, can you do that now?
Yeah, if you had 4/10, you could do 3/10 and 1/10.
Perfect. And then Jade, can you do that?
So you do 5/8 and you can do 3/8 and 2/8.
Perfect. And then I'd also like walk around the classroom during the lesson, offering guidance when needed, and making sure the kids are doing their work. And that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that was good. Fractions is a hard one.
Yeah, fractions.
Yes,
like I still don't really understand fractions, and I'm like an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Ow.
Like a lot of hands-on tools that you had.
Yeah.
Different little varieties there that one can go with.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It really helps like kinesthetic learners, which I like. My only thing that I would say is that I'm a super visual learner, and so like coming up with things in my head and like having to like see the fraction and then break it apart in my head without like having it written on a board or like writing it on my paper, like I struggle with that. So that's why like I like had to write it all down.
Yeah.
Which also is hard when you like don't have a whiteboard. That makes it a little difficult.
Agreed. I was just looking at my piano numbers here, actually, to help me with the fractions. Something visual I could see to put together.
So I had to like write it all down because I was like, I can't think with fractions like in my head.
But yeah, I like how you were really patient with us too, because even though we didn't have a visual, like you were like calm and patient. You didn't say, okay, like let's go, I have other stuff to do, and that you were really calm and just kind of been very patient with it.
Yeah, and reiterated things however many times I needed it.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
All right, is it my turn?
Like writing it out. It's hard because you can't really see my pencil marks.
Yeah.
They like kind of wrote it out, but like you can't really see it.
Reflection.
Yeah.
And it's hard via this and not via, in-person classroom. Okay, is it teaching turn?
Yeah, you can teach multi-game.
Woohoo. I keep hearing so much feedback. Oh my goodness. If I freak out, it's because I keep hearing myself twice.
Yeah, that connection's weird.
Okay, so today we're going to be learning how to do take from problems by using problems. So the worksheet that I have, it's on Google Docs. It's on Google Docs. You can print it however you want. The first problem that we're going to be going over is there. Is this backwards? Yeah.
No, it's good.
Okay.
That's good.
So you can also read it on. Well. So it says Taylor gave 3 pens to Jenny. How many pens does Taylor have now? Now we're going to read it one more time. Taylor had 5. He gave 3 pens to Jenny. How many pens does Taylor have now? So the first means of understanding and modeling this is I intend for my students to use like the little blocks, but I don't have blocks, so I'm going to be using actual pens. But pretend these are blocks because they're going to the blocks are like a universal thing that you could use for like all of the problems. So these are blocks. So we have 5 pens, right? And so Taylor had 5, and then she gave Jenny 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is how many she has left. 1, 2. That's how many she has left. So that's one way we can think about the problem. However, another way, which is also on your worksheet, is by using a grid. So we started off, Taylor started off with 5 pens, right? So we're going to color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 grid squares colored in. However, she gave 3 pens to Jenny. So we erase 1, 2, 3 of the ones we have colored in. And now we only have 2 grid squares colored in, showing us that she has 2 pens left over. Now, a third way we can think about it, which would be more designed for differentiating learners that are working at a faster pace, is just being able to to teach them how to pick out the numbers in the problem and how to solve it just by an equation. So I would say, okay, here's our 2 numbers. We have 5 and 3. So she had 5 and she gave 3. So that's pretty, just from the words that are in the sentence and the context that we're doing take from problems, it's kind of easy to see that we would have 5 minus 3. And then because my students know how to subtract, because we've been doing subtraction problems, they know that 5 minus 3 equals 2. And that's the answer. So now we are going to move on to, sorry, we're going to move on to number 1 on the worksheet. So I'm going to read it out loud first. So it says, Jack has 7 pennies. After throwing 2 of them into the fountain, how many pennies does Jack have left? So what I'm going to have each of you do it in a different way, and I'm going to work through the problem with you because we have those 3 models. So Katie, which model do you want to do?
I haven't looked at the things.
Well, just out of the blocks or the grid lines or just the equation, which one do you want to do?
The equation.
Cool. Okay. So it says that he has 7 pennies, and after throwing 2 of them in the fountain. So what do you think your first number in the equation is going to be?
7.
7? All right. And then what do you think your second number will be? All right. And then why did you get 7 and 2?
It said he had 7 pennies and he threw 2 away.
Perfect. All right. And then what answer did you get for that?
3. No. 4. Wait. 5.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Now, Jade, which model do you want to use?
I said do the blocks. Oh, the blocks.
The blocks. Awesome. Okay. So how many blocks do you start out with?
7.
Perfect. Here's our 7. Now, how many are we taking away?
2 blocks.
1, 2. All right. Now let's count our leftovers. 1,
1, 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were doing it with you.
You're good. 3.
3, 4, 5.
Boom. There you go. And there's our answer. Alrighty, Allison, you got the last model with the grids?
Got it.
All right, so how many squares did you fill in?
So first I shaded in 7 squares.
Perfect. And then how many did you take away?
I had to erase 2 of them because we threw 2 away.
Perfect. Awesome. Good job, friends. Okay, so then at this point, again, if we were in an actual classroom, so I'm just going to pretend like we are. At this point, I would like send kids back to their tables, which I would like have like specifically differentiated because like that's why like I chose these 3 models is that it's like more, you know, it's differentiated and scaffolded, and so I would have them in like tables that are based on that because a kid that is able to just do it by equation isn't going to want to do the blocks. So then I would have them at those tables working through the worksheet, walking around, and then during all of this, they can either do it on like the Google Doc or they can do it like on the worksheet. Either way, it doesn't really matter because some kids like to use their device better. So like I have it where it's like friendly for online access, but also easy to print and use. So they could do that. And then after they're like working through it, I wouldn't make them like finish it, but I would probably just give them, you know, a chunk of time to do it. And then have everyone come back together and then kind of share out their like ideas, like which model that the students liked best, which one they found like the hardest, which problems they found the hardest. If there's like a problem that like really stumped them, you know, we'd walk through it together. And then I would do the similar like exit ticket style. And so before we'd switch subjects or something, I would write another problem. So like Jenny has 7 dolls and she gives 2 of her dolls to her sister Susan. How many dolls does she have left? So I'd write a new problem on the board, read it out loud, and then have the students solve it using one of the models and explain like their reasoning of like why they chose those numbers, why they did that. And then they can either do that on a piece of paper or they can do it on the Google Doc, or like students that work better processing out loud can like write that on the piece of paper or something. And like we can find a time like during lunch or recess or something where we can do it real quick together. So instead of them having to do it, like they can process out loud with me and I'll write what I'm hearing from them. Just because like I know some kids like are a lot better verbal processors. And so to kind of go along with that, then I would let them do that. Yeah.
I really like how you like scaffolded for like the higher end, because I feel like a lot of times like we're so focused on like deficit, but you were like, no, like if these kids like already got it, this is what I have for students who are like at a higher level. So I really liked how you accounted for that.
Thanks.
Yeah. I like how you incorporated what we learned so far, which is the internet, and how, like you said, more advanced learners, how they can be in a group together so they don't, you know, feel like they're ahead or and feel bad, or you know, below and they feel bad. Then also I like how you have visual, like a lot of teacher communications too, and the visual doc internet thing. So
I like how everyone split up differently and doing, because then no one, like you said, no one feels left behind or ahead.
Thanks, guys. That's super fun.
Remember? Oh, the formative assessment is you. Okay, never mind. I forgot that you said at the end that you'd go over like the problems that they had trouble with and stuff.
Yeah, and then I'd have them like write down, like I'd do the other problem and have them send it in the Google Doc or via paper to me to kind of check where they're at, if they're understanding. And because like I want the students to understand that it's not like, oh, I'm quizzing you and I'm grading you. Like it's more of a, I need to see what you understood so that tomorrow's lesson I know what I need to reiterate. Like I know what like you guys understood. And it's like I don't want it to be one of those where it's like they're like ashamed, like, you know, where it's like, oh, like raise your whiteboard up, and then every kid looks around like, oh, did Stephen get the answer right? You know, like I want them to feel like comfortable and like, or if they're like, I have no idea, they can write that. You know, like I want them to be like confident in like themselves and like comfortable in the fact that like it's fine if you don't understand it right now. Like we just introduced this topic.
I like how you explained also is very right to the point and like not so like busy words. It's
Mhm.
very textual and perfect how you worded it. So I like that too. So
Thank you. Okay, so now we have to do our okay. Who hasn't taken notes in a while? I know Allison, you did last week. Did I do them the week before? No, Jade, you did them the week before.
No, I think I did
Like write down
2 weeks before. Did I? I don't know.
I can set up a Google Docs link for it, but don't we just write our notes?
We have to do like notes, like about
Take
like
turns,
what we
yeah.
talked
I have them like set up in our group folder if
Yeah.
someone wants to go in and like write a summary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote the summary of my lesson already. Katie, if you want, right underneath that, if you want to write yours. And then I can do the notes on our conversation.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So I was a little iffy on what we were supposed to be talking about. So I just wrote about the importance of like keeping our kids safe on the internet.
Yeah.
Mostly. Like that, I think that the digital driver's license activities would be like, they're very important, especially like starting in a middle school classroom, which is like what I'm hoping to teach in, because like those kids are using online sources and devices so much, and it's important to like know how to safely use them. Because I know as a kid I was like, oh, you're restricting all of these websites, like that's dumb, and now I'm like, no, children, you don't need to be seeing that, like.
Right.
And so I think it's important to like teach kids like the kind of stuff going on, and like that one activity where it was like knowing if like a website, say if the URL is like a scam or not. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, I got like a C on that.
Yeah, I just want to like seriously understand this, like, and it would be easy like if you have like a centers activity going on in your classroom, like the computers could just be like doing those activities. Kids are gonna think it's pretty fun, like, and you know, like it's our job as educators to not just like teach them on academics. Like we're supposed to be like teaching them how to be people, like how to be active citizens in our community and in our world, and like we can only do that unless we're teaching them about all types of things, not just math.
Yeah, that's what I wrote about, how just like being human these days, like you have to be good at being on the internet. Like you have to know what you're doing. And like my mom was really like an intense protective mom. And so I remember like I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace and I was so mad about it. And like she would talk to me about like, okay, like this isn't safe. Like these are the reasons why you can't be on these websites. This is, and then like eventually I was like allowed to have a Facebook if I would like be friends with her on it. But it was just like for her to like monitor and like make sure I was safe. And like at the time I was so annoyed, but I was just thinking like through this activity, like not everybody has a parent like that. So like as a teacher, like you kind of have to like mama bear up and just be like, okay, like it's safe. Like this is how you protect yourself. And just like teach them that.
Just casually writing out.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm not really into. Oh, sorry, were you talking, Katie?
What?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if you were talking or not. Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't really a internet person. I know my mom watched me on Facebook. She had a certain time period. Like I only have like 5 minutes to be on Facebook and then the end. And she didn't really tell me like how many friends in that, but I knew to stay on Facebook because I knew like from my other friends about like they told me stories of like, weird people out there and that. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And so I had good friends that did that stuff that was iffy. And so they told me, I'm like, thank you, you're so polite. But yeah, could tell with my test, even though I got a C on it, it's hard. Even they trick you. People are really good now about having just getting you sucked in, and then it's like all a scam. So it's like good that we take this test. Definitely at middle age, and now for us, for me at least, so I know myself. So.
Absolutely. One of the considerations he has up here is how does flipped learning and UDL work together? What are some potential problems?
I feel like the main thing is that like you can't really get that many means of representation just like through the internet. Like to like have like to physically show something and to like watch it on the internet is so different. Like I know like if even for like reading, like if I'm reading an article online versus if I like physically have it, like it's so different for me.
Yeah.
And so they're like learning for them like only through the computer would be challenging. So like that's kind of like a concept to like see.
Yeah, I agree with that because I'm definitely the type that if I have a choice between an online book and a paper book, like I will always take the paper one just because like I understand better that way. And like I have a really hard time with online classes and like online learning simply just because like it just doesn't click as well. Like reading in the article and all like PowerPoints and stuff online, I'm like that's great, but like of course it would be different because they're voicing over it, and so it would be more like a lecture style. But I mean, it's hard to accommodate to all types of learners when you're hoping that they get everything via video.
And you also can ask questions like
Mm-hmm.
video.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm trying to add. Like if you're not physically there to like check in on them.
Talking about what's we go.
Talking back on the videos, like being safe on MySpace and things, but also like teaching the kids like not to believe while online.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what? Oh, how will you incorporate the concepts from ISTE standards and digital citizenship into your future classroom? Oh, we kind of talked about that, huh?
Yeah, like using the digital driver's licenses.
Yeah.
And even just like explicitly like even having like a lecture time about like internet safety and like even I don't know if I would structure like a lecture, but maybe like a classroom discussion and like talk about like, okay, like, what are some things that you already know? Like, what are some things that you need help with that you don't quite understand? And just to like make it a lesson and not just like something that you expect them to pick up along the way, but to be really deliberate about it.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Is there anything else we feel like we need to touch on? Cool.
I think we're pretty sad.
Cool. All right. So, Katie, if you just want to put like a brief summary of your lesson under where I have my summary, and then y'all's notes.
Yeah, I'll get my notes in.
Cool.
Perfect. And I'll put the link in the doc again.
Awesome.
Right.
I'll see you all next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Get better, Tegan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.